Good evening. First tonight, the truly amazing story of a farmer from Cambridgeshire who survived being impaled on one of the spikes of his own bale lifting truck. He was saved by medics from the East Anglian Air Ambulance and surgeons at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. A warning that Stuart Leith's report includes images of the incident and descriptions of the injuries Jonathan sustained.
This was the fateful moment when farmer Jonathan Willis decided to walk in front of his forked truck, known in farming as a telehandler, to unstrap some bales on his farm in Wisbech. Moments later, the vehicle rolled forward and he was impaled on a spike and pinned against the trailer. Fortunately, thanks to the work of paramedics and surgeons, he's made a full recovery.
I felt something go into my back and it just twisted around, and then the spike crossed my body and went out the far side. But I suppose he thought, this isn't a good situation. But the pain wasn't so bad then. It was when the spike was cut and they were moving me. That's when the pain started, because the spike obviously was touching the sides of the wound and the pain was extreme.
I mean, when you saw what had happened, how did you react?
I just went, oh my goodness, you just thought you actually couldn't believe my eyes. I thought, how on earth how could this happen? And I thought in the first few seconds, it's only went down a few inches, and I ran my hand along it, and then Jonathan took his hand away from his front, and it was only then I realised that it went right through him. And to be honest, I just thought, this is surreal, this can't actually be happening.
Medics from the East Anglian Air Ambulance arrived just over 20 minutes after the 999 call was made. As Jonathan mentioned, the spike had to be cut off to get him to hospital.
It had to be cut with an angle grinder, and they were worried about the heat going up the spike into my organs. But the medical team there, ambulance staff and the ambulance service and fire brigade were excellent.
They all worked together.
Yeah.
It was consultant surgeon Emmanuel Hugay and his team at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge who operated on him for 7 hours to remove it.
I have to say, I asked the colleague to repeat that, I think 2 or 3 times, because each time I thought I'd misheard. I just couldn't conceive that someone would have really survived such an injury. It's a part of the abdomen which is just packed full of overlapping organs, vital structures, including very major blood vessels. It did require a team with very specialist and specific skills.
Although the air ambulance helicopter had been at the scene, because of the size and position of the spike, Jonathan was taken to hospital by road.
The fact that he was so stoic and that Wendy, his wife, on scene was helping support him and really keeping it together, it made a challenging job that little bit easier for us to then think about what might be going on internally, where we needed to get Jonathan, and then how we as a team of pre-hospital emergency services could make that happen quickly and safely.
The couple have since raised more than £30,000 to support the air ambulance charity.
We're indebted, completely indebted forever. When I seen them that night, I looked up and I was like, thank you God for sending your angels. We're still a family of 7 and things could be very, very different.
As for the spike itself, well, the Willises say they don't want it back. So it looks like Emmanuel and his team will get to keep it as a rather unusual memento of the life-saving surgery they performed. Stuart Leith's ITV News, Cambridge.
Incredible. Dogs have been brought in to help in the search for missing Northamptonshire teenager Sarah Benford, who disappeared 21 years ago. Police are excavating a field near Valley Walk in Kettering after they received significant new intelligence as to what happened to the 14-year-old. The cadaver dogs are usually used in emergency situations to help find human remains.
So what we're doing today is really important. We're looking for Sarah primarily so that we can return her to her parents so she can be buried, but we're also looking at recovering her in a forensically sensible way so that we can identify who has buried her, who has killed her and how she died.
Rishi Sunak has toured the site of the new Anglia Ruskin University campus in Peterborough. It's part of the government's Levelling Up scheme, focusing on investing in the local economy. The new Peterborough University is under construction and will focus on skills needed by employers in the area when it opens next year.
I'm here in Peterborough to see levelling up in action. Peterborough has just received £20 million of investment to transform the city centre and build this new university campus. It's going to bring economic activity and jobs. It's been talked about for ages, now it's being delivered, and that's levelling up for Peterborough.
Former Northamptonshire cricketer Jack Brooks has been reprimanded by his current county club Somerset over historical tweets containing racist language. They'd investigated messages sent by Brooks via Twitter while at Northants in 2012. In a statement, he acknowledged the language used was unacceptable and issued an unreserved apology. Visiting restrictions have been reinstated at Peterborough City Hospital and Hinchingbrook Hospital. The Health Trust, which runs both, says it's because of rising COVID cases in the local community. There are exceptions for those visiting patients receiving end-of-life care, children, carers and maternity. A former teacher who suffered a near-death experience is helping children to cope with their own difficulties in life. Carolyn Costa talks to pupils with a little help from her therapy dog, Duke. Graham Stothard met them at Meppershall, Church of England Academy in Bedfordshire.
And the doctor said they're not going to come back to life. And I said, well, you might as well take them off then, because they're no good to me.
It's an assembly where no question is off limits.
When did you lose your feet? Is it tricky to get your legs on or not? Who makes you your breakfast?
Carolyn here, talking the children through why she has no hands or feet. She was one of the early sufferers of COVID, which led to much worse.
They diagnosed me with sepsis and I was put into an induced coma. I was in the coma for a month and in intensive care for a month. And when I woke up, my hands and feet were black. And they told me that they died because as a result of sepsis, there wasn't enough oxygenated blood going to all my extremities.
But talking through her experience is not the primary reason she's here. Along with her dog Duke, she helps the children through what's been a difficult time for everyone.
I come in to help the children. They'll read to him, they'll just cuddle him. It helps them calm down, it helps those children who've had bereavements. So I'm here as sort of emotional support for that. I'm also here sort of raising the idea that just because I'm disabled, I'm still me. I'm still a person. And I'm also here selfishly for me.
She was a teacher for 34 years. Losing some limbs doesn't mean losing that passion.
I like them coming in because I like getting to stroke Duke a lot. I like stroking Duke because he's soft and he's cute. It helps me do the words and helps me to read properly. Duke is really fun and he's always calm.
The head here says they're invaluable.
If you think about the last couple of years, I think every child has suffered trauma at some level, whether it's not being able to see their grandparents or not being able to mix with their peers. So the fact that we've got Duke and Carolyn coming in, it's therapeutic for everybody.
Alongside her school visits, she raises awareness of sepsis and money for schools in Kenya. But it seems to be Duke who receives most of the praise. Graham Stothard, ITV News, Meppershall in Bedfordshire.
Now coming up in just a few moments, it's Anglia Late Edition. Here's Phil Hornby with all the details.
Yes, tonight it's MP's second jobs under the spotlight, how to rebuild Westminster's reputation. Plus, the heat is on to sort out climate change. But did COP26 do anything to help? Lively political debate with my guests here on Anglia Late Edition, right after the break.
But before that, it's the weather. Here's Ash.
Greater Anglia sponsors ITV Anglia Weather.
Hello there and a very good evening to everyone at home. Well, it's going to stay dry over the next few hours. It's actually quite mild out there. Overnight temperatures only dropping to around 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. That's what we would expect by day at this time of year. So relatively mild start, a little bit of a breeze out there as well first thing in the morning and a lot of cloud around through the morning. We will see a little bit more in the way of sunshine into the afternoon, but it's another dry day, another fine day, and temperature wise, again, it's mild for November, highs of 13 degrees Celsius. Now, from Friday into Saturday, we're just starting to see signs of change coming into the forecast. So the high pressure that's brought all of the settled weather this week will slowly start to sink to the south, and it's to the north where we're looking for our next weather system. And it's this cold front here that's going to introduce some pretty chilly air as we head through Sunday. You will really notice the difference in that by day, particularly as there's quite a strong breeze associated with it. But for most of Saturday, it's rather cloudy. Cloud may be thick enough just to give the odd spot of rain, and signs of it turning cooler. Highs of 11 degrees Celsius, highs of just 8 degrees by Sunday. A little bit of patchy rain around in the morning, but what you will notice going into next week is just how cold it's going to get overnight.
Greater Anglia sponsors ITV Anglia Weather.
And that is your late news. Thanks for your company this evening. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.